notice how to be eliminating the sound vibrations of ether and my consciousness.
listen. But you have to pronounce it clearly. That's what we're doing.
Okay. So is that translation of the- That's it?
Yeah, we're done with class.
Wow, that was,
I know, you can go up to your room now.
that'd be a record breaker.
You can watch Daily Krishna.
Maybe.
No, we're not done. We're not done. We haven't started. And watch Little Krishna now.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna's wonderful feats. So where are we at?
29. You can also put your feet just up like that.
On my head.
Or this.
Okay.
You have to turn it.
First class, so sorry about all the preparation. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari Jaya Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashoda Nandana Vrajajana Ranjana Yashoda Nandana Vrajajana Ranjana Yamartira Vanachari Yamunatira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jayam Vishnu Pad Paramahamsa Parivrajagacharya Asota Sata Shri Srimad His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada Ki Jayam Vishnu Pad Paramahamsa Parivrajagacharya Asota Sata Shri Srimad His Divine Grace Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj Ki Akoti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai Preme She Kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasari Gaur Bhaktavinda Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Shama Kun Radha Kun Giri Govardhan Ki Jai Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai Mathura Dham Ki Jai Navadi Dham Ki Jai Jagannath Puri Dham Ki Jai Ganga Maya Ki Jai Yamuna Maya Ki Jai Tulsi Devi Ki Jai Bhakti Devi Ki Jai Samabhakta Vrinda Devi Ki Jai Gaur Premanande all glorious to some devotees, all glorious to some devotees, all glorious to some devotees, all glorious to Shri Shri Guru and Gauranga. Hare Krishna. So today we're reading from the third canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, the 26th chapter, text 29. Would you like the verse? Would you like to read it? Okay. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 Tajasatu Vikorvanad
Radhisatu Vikorvana.
Paritatvam Vibhutsati
Paritatvam Viputsati.
Dravyasporana Vigyanam
Pravaspur Vijnanam.
Indriyanam Anugraha
Indriyanam Anugraha.
Tajasatu Vikorvanad
Tajasatu Vikorvana.
Paritatvam Abhutsati
Puritatvam Viputsati.
Dravyasporana Vigyanam
Pravaspur Vijnanam.
Indriyanam Anugraha
Indriyanam Anugraha.
Tajasatu Vikorvanad
Tu Vikorvana.
Bodhitattvam Abhutsati
Tattvam Abhutsati.
Dravyasporana Vigyanam
Pravaspurana Vijnanam.
Indriyanam Anugraha
Indriyanam Anugraha.
Tajasatu Vikorvanad Bodhitattvam Abhutsati Dravyasporana Vigyanam Indriyanam Anugraha. Would you like to try? You can try. Tajasatu Vikorvanad Bodhitattvam Abhutsati Dravyasporana Vigyanam Indriyanam Anugraha. That's very good. Yeah. Okay. Now for the synonyms. Tajasat,
Tajasat.
from the false ego and passion.
From the false ego and passion.
2. Then. Vikorvanat,
Korvana.
undergoing transformation.
Undergoing transformation.
Buddhi,
Buddhi.
intelligence.
Intelligence.
Tattvam,
Tattvam.
principles.
Principles.
Abhut,
Abhut.
took birth.
Took birth.
Sati,
Sati.
O virtuous lady.
A virtuous lady.
Dravya,
Jogya.
objects.
Come.
Spurana,
Spurana.
coming into view.
Coming into view.
Vijnanam,
Vijnana.
ascertaining.
Ascertaining.
Indriyanam,
Indriyana.
to the senses. Anugraha,
Anugraha.
in giving assistance.
In giving assistance.
Translation and purport by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. By transformation of the false ego and passion, intelligence takes birth, O virtuous lady. The functions of intelligence are to help in ascertaining the nature of objects when they come into view, and to help the senses. Can you repeat after me? By transformation of the false ego
Transformation of the false ego.
in passion,
In passion.
intelligence takes birth,
Intelligence takes birth.
O virtuous lady.
A virtuous lady.
The functions of intelligence are to help in ascertaining the nature of objects when they come into view, and to help the senses. Purport. Intelligence is the discriminating power to understand an object, and it helps the senses make choices. Therefore, intelligence is supposed to be the master of these senses. The perfection of intelligence is attained when one becomes fixed in the activities of Krishna consciousness. By the proper use of intelligence, one's consciousness is expanded, and the ultimate expansion of consciousness is Krishna consciousness. Let's read one more verse. Shamshayota viparyasho nishcharya smritir evacha. I'll just read myself. Swapa ityukyate buddhir lakshanam vritata pratak. Doubt, misapprehension, correct apprehension, memory and sleep, as determined by their different functions, are said to be the distinct characteristics of intelligence. Purport. Doubt is one of the most important functions of intelligence. Blind acceptance of something does not give evidence of intelligence. Therefore, the word shamshaya is very important. In order to cultivate intelligence, one should be doubtful in the beginning. But doubting is not very favorable when information is received from the proper source. In Bhagavad Gita, the Lord says that doubting the words of the authority is the cause of destruction. As described in the Patanjali Yoga system, Pramana viparyaya vikalpa nidra smrityaha. By intelligence only can one understand things as they are. By intelligence only can one understand whether or not he is the body. The study to determine whether one's identity is spiritual or material begins in doubt. When one is able to analyze his actual position, the false identification with the body is detected. This is viparyasha. When false identification is detected, then real identification can be understood. Real understanding is described here as nishchayaha, or proved experimental knowledge. This experimental knowledge can be achieved when one has understood the false knowledge. By experimental or proved knowledge, one can understand that he is not the body, but spirit soul. Smriti means memory, and swapa means sleep. Sleep is also necessary to keep the intelligence in working order. If there is no sleep, the brain cannot work nicely. In Bhagavad Gita, it is especially mentioned that persons who regulate eating, sleeping, and other necessities of the body in the proper proportion becomes very successful in the yoga process. These are some of the aspects of the analytical study of intelligence as described in both the Patanjali Yoga system and the Sankhya philosophy system of Kapila Dev in Srimad Bhagavatam. Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Salakaya Chakshur Amilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupam Kadamaya Tadati Swapadantikam. Vande Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaura Bhaktavrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So, also, and one more prayer to Srila Prabhupada. I forgot to say that one. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishnaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschitya Deshatarine. Hare Krishna, everyone. Please, this is actually my first class I've given since I've been here the last 3 years or so. And so I'm very not much inclined, as you can see, to give class, but I'm feeling encouragement from devotees. I feel like I have no qualification to speak on this wonderful literature. Bhagavatam is also considered the Paramahamsa Samhita, meaning that it's meant for Paramahamsas. somehow or other by the grace of Srila Prabhupada, even a fallen malacha rascal like myself has been able to given the opportunity to speak something. So that's what I'm doing. I'm just trying to. The speaker of Bhagavatam is the representative of Srila Vyasadeva, one of the great sages, the great sage who wrote this literature. And so that's exactly what I'm trying to do, is represent the knowledge as is given by our teachers. So if we analyze the first verse that we read, we learned from Srila Prabhupada that the ability to discriminate, the purport says the intelligence is a discriminating power to understand an object, and it helps the senses make choices. So we learned that the ability to discriminate is the primary function of intelligence. As we know, the intelligence is above the mind. The body is made up of senses. Above the mind, the senses is the mind, and above the mind is the intelligence. And so, the proper use of intelligence, we should engage our intelligence in strengthening our intelligence through proper knowledge and good sadhana, so that we'll be able to discriminate that which is spiritual, that which is good and favorable for spiritual life, and that which is impeding. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, one of our teachers in our line, has explained that the misidentification and actual identification of the living entity is apparent according to one's power to discriminate. And he explains this by this ladder. It says, Maya Devi's, or illusions, most subtlest and deadliest traps, it begins as a trap, and then our sense of identifying the shapes, from our desiring comes our discriminating power, setting priorities, then our thinking, our planning, then our feeling, then our willing, then our actions. And this is all what shapes our destiny. So we can use proper discrimination to aid in spiritual life. Yet we find in the second and third verses of Srila Rupa Goswami's Upadeshamrita, the Nectar of All Advice, that he gives his instructions on that which is favorable and unfavorable by use of good intelligence. So I'll just read those here. These are six things which are unfavorable for spiritual life. So he notes, one's devotional service is spoiled when he becomes too entangled in the following 6 activities. 1. Eating more than necessary or collecting more funds than required. 2. Over-endeavoring for mundane things that are very difficult to obtain. 3. Talking unnecessarily about mundane subject matters. 4. Practicing the scriptural rules and regulations only for the sake of following them and not for the sake of spiritual advancement, or rejecting the rules and regulations of the scriptures and working independently or whimsically. 5. Associating with worldly-minded persons who are not interested in Krishna consciousness. And 6. Being greedy for mundane achievements. And then we have 6 principles which are good, favorable for the execution of spiritual life, devotional service. 1. Being enthusiastic. 2. Endeavoring with confidence. 3. Being patient. 4. Acting according to regulative principles, such as Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu, Smaranam, hearing, chanting, and remembering Krishna. 5. Abandoning the association of non-devotees. And 6. Following the footsteps of the previous acharyas. These 6 principles undoubtedly assure the complete success of pure devotional service. So, we have to be able to apply these principles in our lives and discriminate that, that which is favorable, unfavorable, according to these principles. And then furthermore in the purport, Srila Prabhupada says that therefore intelligence is supposed to be the master of the senses, which I mentioned is above the mind being the abode of the senses. And then he mentions that the perfection of intelligence is attained when one becomes fixed in the activities of Krishna consciousness. By proper use of intelligence, one's consciousness is expanded. And the ultimate expansion of consciousness is Krishna consciousness. There's a very beautiful verse in this regard from the 11th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. Dadvasu durlabhamidam bahu sambhavante manusham artadam anityam apiha diraha ternamyate tenapatir anumrityu yavan nishreya shaya vishaya kalu sarvatasyat. And what it means is that upon attaining this human form of life, that the greatest way to apply our intelligence is to pursue the goal of life, to become Krishna conscious, spiritually enlightened, and that we've taken birth so many times, and that this human form of life is a great blessing, it's a great gift, because we have the power of intelligence. There's, in the Srimad Bhagavatam is mentioned that there's 8,400,000 species of life, all different animals, reptile, insect species, trees, and other plant species. But the human form of life, which there is said to be 400,000, is a very rare form, and that it's a gradual ladder that we're gradually elevating to higher and higher species. And so what discriminates the animals from the humans is that the humans are given the ability to engage their intelligence in higher ideals, obviously. So it's really important in the mantra I just quoted. It says that Tirnam Yateta, that one should quickly endeavor upon attaining this human form of life before the body dies, and before the next birth, we should quickly endeavor for that Nikshreya, the highest good, which is spiritual enlightenment. So, and then we have in the next verse, Srila Prabhupada says, the translation, doubt, misapprehension, correct apprehension, memory and sleep as determined by their different functions are said to be the distinct characteristics of intelligence. And then in the purport, doubt is one of the most important functions of intelligence. Blind acceptance of something does not give evidence of intelligence. So we understand that this is the beginning of spiritual life, when we doubt material existence, material life. We all can see from our own practical experience of our life that there was some questioning as to seeking higher understanding of life, higher truth, where we doubt the reality as is given. So Prabhupada is saying that that is not necessarily a bad thing, but it's actually an important function of intelligence. And then he also says Shamshaya is very important. So in order to cultivate intelligence, one should be doubtful in the beginning. But doubting is not very favorable when information is received from the proper source. So if information is given from, the realized scriptures, realized souls, and we doubt that which is truth, that is the greatest setback. In fact, Maya, the illusory potency of Krishna, comes in her greatest weapon is doubt, because it's like an eternal thing. We have seen, for instance, like an army, there could be like hundreds of thousands of soldiers, and there could be a military base with so many generals and big army. But yet, if there's one spy a spy can completely annihilate the entire organization, because it's something that's within, and something that is not, has the ability to jeopardize compromise the entire situation because of its of it being unknown and the spy being undetected. So we see that's kind of like Maya. Maya comes in the form of doubt. We doubt so many things, but when we doubt the realized souls, the scriptures, then that is the greatest form of Maya. But what washes away doubt is is hearing from great souls. The sound vibration. These words on these very pages are non-different from Krishna. It's the sound incarnation of God, and it's meant for spiritual self-realization. And then Prabhupada goes on to speak about the Patanjali yoga system. And by intelligence one can understand things as they are. By intelligence one can understand whether or not he is the body. To the study to determine whether one's identity is spiritual or material begins in doubt. So yeah, we understand that. From the first beginning of doubt, that is like the awakening of spiritual life. And then towards the end it says Smriti means memory and Swapa means sleep. Sleep is also necessary to keep intelligence in working order. If there is no sleep, the brain cannot work nicely. In Bhagavad Gita it is especially mentioned that persons who regulate eating, sleeping, and other necessities of the body in the proper proportion becomes very successful in the yoga process. These are some of the aspects of the analytical study of intelligence as described in both the Patanjali yoga system and the Sankhya yoga system of Kapila Deva and Srimad Bhagavatam. Yes, and we can see that practical day-to-day life, that regulation is very important. Anyways, I'm sorry, you have to tolerate me. Is there any comments or questions? Or reflections? Mm-hmm.
The awakening commence? Does it proceed, or how does any comments on that?
Sure, it's considered ever increasing. That never ending, higher and higher realizations you can attain. Like we might get to a certain point, but yet there's something always higher. Okay, thank you. Gantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki, Srila Prabhupada ki, Jai.
does the sit up.
That I usually do. Sometimes people come around.
Trash.
That I can ask. That was like the worst thing ever. I was like, this is like the least thing I wanted to do.
Getting cold tonight. Maybe 10 minutes before the lecture. Hey, Damodar, can you get control? Or we could just call bottom in Las Vegas and say, hey, you're gonna